Should high school kids be drug tested? All teenagers are approached at least once in their life, and are faced with one of the toughest decisions they have to make. Want to come to the party Friday night? You want to hit my juul? They can either say yes to getting high off that drug or drinking to the point of a blackout, or they can make the decision their parents taught them to make and ask to say no. Most students will fall under peer pressure and use a drug. Some, however, will stay true to their morals and make a decision they deem is best for them. In most schools, students know they are not at risk of being drug tested because their school does not do it, or if they do, the chances of them being randomly selected is slim, so a student continues to use the drug. Drug testing high schoolers is something commonly argued about due to the increased amount of schools with drug testing programs in effect, the continued usage of drugs, and the amount of nicotine products available to teenagers, but doesn't invade privacy. Drug use amongst high school students has increased over the past few years at an alarming rate. According to Ryan Lacey in the School Drug Testing Dilemma, nearly 27% of high schools in the United States have some form of drug testing. Next slide. According to Tiffany Stoiber and Erica Pritchard, in more and more schools that are drug testing students, is it proactive or just expensive and ineffective? Ravenna High School in Nebraska has the right to use breath, saliva, hair, and urine analysis testing procedures. Urine testing is industry standard and recommended over hair and saliva tests. This is due to urine tests being the easiest to prove true because it comes straight from the person being tested. There are many forms of drugs that anyone at any age can get their hands on. According to Should High School Athletes Be Tested for Drug Use, kids are now snorting heroin and Adderall or signing prescriptions such as Clomiphen and Percocet, among others. And student-athlete drug testing policy at Monroe High prompts mixed reaction. Monroe High uses a 9-pound drug testing screen. It will detect amphetamines, cocaine, marijuana, and opiates. The 9 types of drugs all fall under at least one of these categories, which allows the school to test students for multiple drugs. One of the biggest questions brought up under the topic of high school drug testing happens to be who meets the requirements to be drug tested. Belpre High School has a mandatory policy where all students who participate in any extracurricular activity or any person who parks on school property is eligible to be tested. According to Lauren Dodd, drug testing will expand at Midway High School. The Midway School District may randomly test up to 30% of the student population at any of their 10 sessions. Most people are tested randomly selected, usually by a software program. You should have been the one you were on. The football one, that one. The 3 students are chosen at random to go. This is very similar to the way my school, East Butler, goes about drug testing its students. 3 students are chosen at random through a computer program and are then pulled out of class first thing in the morning to go test. Why is student drug testing brought more now than was a decade ago? E-cigarettes have surpassed. Excuse me. Now let's talk about reasonable suspicion. If a student has shown signs of illegal drug use or has a history with drugs and is believed to be using them again, they may fall under the reasonable suspicion category. Any student who shows signs of illegal drug or alcohol use is subject to being drug tested based on reasonable suspicion. This includes staff members possibly seeing it in person, or if any pictures or videos are on social media accounts. Now we will focus on why drug testing may not be the way to go. It violates students' rights to be free from search and seizure. It presumes the student is guilty until proven innocent. It is not an effective way of preventing drug use, and it may encourage students to use more dangerous drugs because they are not detected by standard tests. Stoiber and Pritchard said the administration at some high schools feared students would not try out or participate in extracurriculars in fear of being drug tested. These are all logical reasons drug testing should not be implemented in our schools. 3 states have found that random, suspicionless drug testing is unconstitutional and may not occur in any schools. Lacey pointed out that the 4th Amendment protects students from search and seizure without probable cause, so a school cannot test any student without reason. If a student chooses they don't want to take the test, they are presumed guilty, which conflicts with their rights to participate in school-sponsored activities. Is the cost of testing students too high? Lacey tells us that Carroll County in Georgia spends roughly $15,000 in policy enforcement per year. Ravenna High School Superintendent Ken Schroeder said that his school looks to spend $1,000 or less per year. He added that the cost will increase as the number of tests increase. Is drug testing students accurate and efficient? The detection of alcohol or LSD through a urine sample is not effective because it drains too quickly from the body. This could persuade the student to use these drugs and not be worried about getting caught. Texas' $10 million program only had 9 positive cases of steroid use out of 19,000 tests. After lowering the number of tests in the 2013-2014 school year, Only 2 positive results came from 2,613 tests. Lacey mentioned that in Carroll County in Georgia, tests 720 students a year, but only an average of 18 tested positive. Today, we discussed both pros and cons of drug testing high school students. Throughout my speech, you may have noticed I used the word student and not the phrase athlete. When people hear about drug tests, they think of athletes. However, any student wishing to participate in any extracurricular activity should have to submit themselves as a possible test subject. Today, we went over the increased use of drugs, who would be tested, its total cost, and the inefficiency of testing. Drug testing high schoolers is something commonly argued about due to the increased amount of schools with drug testing programs in effect, the continued usage of drugs, and the amount of nicotine products available to teenagers, but doesn't invade privacy.